Welcome to the Black Knight Nation podcast, your source for the latest information about your Army Black Knights, with your host, Sal Interdonato.
We're back. Black Knight Nation podcast here. We have a special guest tonight, Cole Macek, former Army fullback, and now he's an MMA fighter. And first, that intro is kill. We're making waves here, Cole. The Black Nation podcast is making waves when you get your own intro, right?
Yes, I love the intro. Got me fired up.
That was good. You can follow us now on all the podcast platforms, or just about on any. You could ask Alexa to play Black Knight Nation podcast. I did it today, and it actually worked, and it was like the highlight of my day, other than Christmas shopping for my wife. So follow us. Follow us on. You can follow us on all the platforms, and if you look below, there'll be a running a crawl with all that. And Cole's also Instagram and Twitter are on there too. To give Cole a follow. Cole, I was talking about you last night on the podcast with some 2010 Army football players, Steve Anderson and Jason Johnson, that you were one of the most fun guys I've interviewed on the Army football team. In my 12 years on the beat with the newspaper, we just had fun. It wasn't so much, when I covered the team, it was about football. I didn't want it to be about West Point. I wanted to get into the characters and the personalities of the players. And you were one that I definitely was, gravitated to. Just first off, tell me a little bit about how. Let's take it from the start. How do you end up at West Point? How are you recruited? Because I know you had a pretty good wrestling career too, right?
Yeah, I did. I actually was probably a better wrestler than I was a football player, to be honest with you. But I wanted to play football. I had some offers, and they were all kind of Division I, AA, smaller schools, and then Army, kind of came and was like, well, whip this kid into shape, So they obviously did a good job in recruiting me and whatnot, and I fell in love with it right from the jump. And me and we obviously went on the official visit, and it was awesome. We had such a good time, and the campus is beautiful. Met some really cool people. The coaches were awesome, and it's the typical, I went to West Point simply to, go play football. And then you go for, you realize that you're there for a different reason, but it was really fun. And I really enjoyed like the whole process of getting recruited and whatnot. I remember whenever I actually got a call from Coach Bateman, he was at Ball State. And initially he was, I was waiting on a call for him to, give me an offer there out in Indiana, a little small school. He called me. I was at a wrestling tournament, and he was like, hey man, I got good news and bad news. The bad news is I don't have my job at Ball State anymore. The good news is that I just got hired at West Point. And I was like, what's that? So I didn't know what it was. I told my dad, I was like, hey man, I got an official visit at West Point next week. I'm not sure what it is, but we're going to go. And he looked at me. He's like, are you kidding me? Army? And I was like, I think so. So that's kind of how that whole thing started. And then it just took off from there.
Yeah. And then I guess freshman year there, you tried to work your way up the depth chart, and then sophomore. Well, you got to play special teams freshman year, no?
I did. I was the, as you know, the captain of the hands team.
Yep.
Later promoted to major, but we'll get into that. I played kickoff return, all the special teams. That's kind of where I made my money. That's how I got into the travel squad, was just, Coach Monken, obviously, is a big special teams guy. And I know that there was no chance that I was going to, get my, start or do whatever I had to do at linebacker with Andrew King and Jeremy Timpf playing at middle linebacker, because I was backing those guys up. I was like third, fourth string there. So I was like, well, I have to make my money on special teams. And I just worked my butt off, and was fortunate enough to make the travel squad as a freshman. So that was a really good experience for me.
So and then after freshman year, right? They moved you to B-back, right?
Correct. Yeah.
What was that conversation like? Was that just another chance to get maybe higher on the depth chart and get on the field, or?
There was no conversation. It was, I showed up in the locker room one day, and I had a black jersey instead of a white jersey in my locker room. and my number went from 53 to 45. And I was like, well, I guess I'm playing fullback now. So this will be fun. So we'll see. But nothing, no conversation at all. But it worked out. It was awesome.
Yeah, I guess in that time, Army's just starting to build that stable of fullbacks, right? With Darnell Woolfolk and Andy Davidson moving from defense, right? Andy Davidson did also make the move from defense to fullback. Talk about the sophomore season for you. I mean, you did get an opportunity to play, you get an opportunity to shine. You had a couple 100-yard games your sophomore year.
Yeah, it was fun, man. Darnell, Andy, and myself were kind of like the main three guys. Some really talented guys. That I sat behind. So I was fortunate enough to be able to kind of work my way into the lineup here and there. And when I had my opportunity to shine, I did the best that I could. I had a couple 100-yard games, but it was fun, man. I mean, I really did enjoy it, and it was. I mean, I played running back in high school, so it wasn't like I never carried the ball before. So they were basically just like, Cole, go get 5 yards. And I was like, sounds like a plan. So I just, they'd give me the ball and I'd run and do what I could. It was fun.
Yeah, I guess it must have been the game against Lafayette where you had a kind of a quote breakout game, right? I mean, it was a breakout game, your first 100-yard game. I remember you made the back page of our news at the Times Tower Record where I was working at the time. I think it was like making his noise or something like that was the back page. Do you remember that?
Yeah. I'm at my parents' house right now, but if I was at my house where I live, because I'm home for the holidays, I've got the whole thing framed, so I'd be sitting right in front of it for you right now if I was. But
wow.
Yeah, no, that was super cool, man. Just to be able to all the hard work that I put into playing football, and eventually being able to get noticed for it in that manner was really, really cool. And I was like a local celebrity for a little bit, it was super fun.
Nothing wrong with that. We just had your buddy Kel Walker pop in saying hi on the messages there. Talk about like Kel and your relationship with Kel. I mean, he was definitely an engaging guy, no doubt.
Yeah, man. Kel's a good dude, man. What's up, brother? How you doing? I miss that kid. He was one of my favorite youngins to come through, man. I try to take him under my wing a little bit, and we had fun, dude. He's a good kid. Him and Dejan ended up going to Delaware.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Those are my two favorite, man. I love those kids, dude.
I think they just. I think that group, Kelvin Hopkins, Jalen McClinton, and Kel Walker recently graduated West Point. They were December grads, so congratulations to them for getting through West Point and now becoming officers. Want to get to one of my favorite interviews of all time, right? I think it was after a practice. It's during the 2016 elections, and it's Donald Trump is pretty hot topic there, and we got into the topic. Normally, I would not touch political at all. Nothing political issues at all. Just straight on sports guy. But we got to talking about the election and where your vote went that year, and then you had one of the best blogs I've ever written my entire life. I
can't believe that's an article, like an actual written article to this day. Like I posted that on Facebook a couple months ago, and people are like, "What is this? Like, is this real?"
Yeah, basically, you made a statement that Donald Trump wouldn't have won the state of Pennsylvania without your vote, right? I mean,
by that statement, man, that is absolutely correct. My vote had so much weight to it that it swung the entire state, and it hence swung the election, because Pennsylvania, if you don't remember, 2016, Pennsylvania was the swing state that swung the election, and Hillary Clinton was out front. She was out front, and then I voted, and then all of a sudden, when they seen that vote come in, it went red. So I don't know how that could have been possible without them just taking my vote into serious account.
I think some people wish that would have happened this in 2020. Did you have the power to do it in 2020? That's my question. So
soon, we're gonna find out here soon. But I hope so. I really do.
Yeah, I mean that was like I said, that was what. See, back then, would that made the paper? No, but you could put that on a blog, and like Honestly, I don't know how much my bosses or the newspaper editors really checked my blog. At that point, the blog was really hot. I think that year I might have won best blog in New York State. I'm not sure, and I'm sure I sent that entry just as proof that the blog was a little something different. So
Blog,
that was fun.
blog swung the entire that swung it for you. That was the reason why you won. Was that blog there?
I think it might be. I think it might be.
Yeah, that was incredible, man. That was we had so much fun doing that, and yeah, we'll see what happens. Come time January, but I'm a Trump guy. We got the hat right here.
You still got the Trump hat.
Absolutely,
Nice.
of course.
Nice.
So we'll see what happens, but I don't want to get too political with this, because I know 2016 and 2020 they're two different times right now. So
yeah, no doubt.
We'll see what happens.
We were talking. I mean, I want to get to this a little later. We're going to touch on your MMA, how you got started with MMA next, but I wanted to touch a little bit on when you were at West Point. You guys kind of had a group that had a lot of fun, right? You had yourself, the Noise, right? Yeah, Jimmy Hammersticks, correct?
Yes, sir.
I'm forgetting what Chandler Ramirez's nickname was.
Ramrod.
Okay, you had Chandler Ramirez, and who am I missing? Schaefer Swan, right?
Swan.
Max Regan too. Was Max Regan in the group too, or no?
Max Regan, Two Cheeks Regan. We had Winston Smith T. Also,
oh yeah,
Titty Boy. We had Boomer Backets, Luke Peterman, Tyler Lampy, and Joe Corliss. Those are the 10. Those are the Big 10 right there. Now
there was a band. You guys did have a band at West Point, or you didn't have a band at West Point, or was that fictitious?
No, that was a fraternity that we had started. I myself being the president. That's PHK, and those were the 10 funnest guys at the entire academy, bar none, hands down. So not technically a band, but
okay.
But although I do play a little guitar myself.
Okay.
But no, we had some fun, man. We had a really good time. We all got close together. Freshman year, I mean, me, Chandler, James, Max, Schaefer, we were all super close, but we ended up all like living together in the summer, freshman going to sophomore year, in Grant Barracks on the top floor. And then Joe, Tyler, Winston, Boomer, and Luke kind of all were there as well. And everybody was like close, but it just brought us all together. We make, it's tough to go out and have fun when you have practice every single day, 5 a.m. And you're kind of stuck there, but we made the most out of it. We'd go out and, do whatever we could just to, keep it light, keep it cool, and just, have as much fun as we could. But it brought us all together, and we're still best friends to this day.
Nice, man. You made me think about mat drills when you said 5 a.m. I don't know if you were a fan of mat drills, were you?
The biggest fan. I loved mat drills every single morning. It was great. No, I haven't met anybody who's a fan of mat drills, man. But it'll make you tough. It'll make you a tough son of a bitch going through that. I mean, just afterwards, like whenever I eventually left West Point and, went to, university, and, that I'm doing MMA and stuff, whenever I hear people complaining about, little things, I'm like, you never went through what I went through at this place, with mat drills being on the top of the list. So
yeah.
I don't want to hear it. And like, honestly, that's, that type of, that the stuff that I went through there it's helped me a lot in my, real estate career, MMA career, just staying self-disciplined and all that stuff.
Would you put mat drills ahead of the military training as tougher than military training, or wouldn't you go there?
100%. Yes. Yeah. But the military trainings, I mean, it's a lot of, it's your mentality. It's very mental. People yelling at you. And, I mean, basically you just have to be at the right place at the right time, always on time. Physically, it's not very hard, but mat drills is, you got people yelling in your face, your coach is screaming at you, but it's also very physically demanding. Like, one of the hardest things that I've ever done. And I went through 4 fight camps now, and I don't think I've had a practice that's been as hard as mat drills, out in the freezing cold, 5 a.m, 10 degrees outside, sprint. I mean, but that's what, made us all close. Going through hard stuff like that brings you together as people. And, looking back on it, I wouldn't have it any other way.
Nice. Now maybe we can transition to the MMA and how you get your MMA. What made you kind of start the MMA, gravitate toward an MMA career? What is it something that you watch? I'm guessing it's probably something that you watched growing up, no doubt, right? Maybe. And what got you into MMA, so to speak?
Sure, man. I've always been a big mixed martial arts fan. I grew up watching UFC. I was a big fan of George St. Pierre growing up. He was one of my favorites. I just loved watching him. And I wrestled from the time I was 6. When I was a little kid, I used to watch wrestling. I wanted to be like Stone Cold Steve Austin. So my dad said he was going to sign me up for wrestling. And I was like, I'm all in. So I went to my first wrestling practice. I tried to hit a kid with a Stone Cold Stunner, and I got kicked out of practice the first day. It's like, this is how it works. So I went back to the drawing board, and, I went from that to, eventually going off to my, all throughout high school, I wrestled, so that I had that background. And I would still mess around on the mats from time to time, even at West Point. And then whenever I got done, I started coaching my high school team and was getting into that. And then I also started getting a little bit of kickboxing on the side, just to it was the first time that, from the time I was 6, I wasn't competing in anything. I was just going to college. I was done with sports. And I guess I kind of wanted to, fulfill that, that need to, and that drive to compete in something, in some type of athletic, to just, to something to do on the side. So I started kickboxing a little bit, and I started getting pretty good at it, and I had a knack for it. So my coach was just kind of like, you should start doing MMA. Or like, so I got into that, had a fight, and the rest is history. I've had 4 fights now. My coaches are great. They teach me. It's a hard sport because you've got to know jiu-jitsu. You've got to know how to box, how to do kickboxing, throw kicks, and you've got to know how to wrestle. There's a lot of aspects to it that you really need to be good at. It's not just like football where you got to know one thing and be very good at it. MMA's so broad, so it takes a long time to get good at, and we're just getting started with it. So far I'm 4-0. Hopefully one more win will take me pro, and we'll see where it takes me, man.
That'd be unreal. It would be really unreal. I've fought. I'm not a huge. I can't say I'm a huge fan of MMA, but definitely follow it when you have your fights. And wow, just incredible. Does it come easy? Is it easy for you? Would you say? I mean, when you get out there, or no?
No, I mean it's not. It's the hardest sport I've ever done, and I was, playing fullback, going up against some of the biggest, strongest dudes you will ever see. Playing football at Army was the one of the hardest things I've ever done. MMA, it's a different type of hard, but it's very challenging. It is, because it mentally, you could feel really good one day and do very well, and then the next day, like, you're like, oh damn, like I got some work to do. Like, it's just, it's the hardest sport. So it never comes easy. I try to stay calm, cool, and collected, especially fight day. I mean, the hard part is the practice. The 3 hours in the gym. You get an hour and a half of sparring, and then you got to do another hour and a half of jiu-jitsu where you're rolling and grappling, and you got coaches yelling in your face. That's the hard part, and it should be the hard part, because the easy part should be when you go out and you put on a performance for all the people watching at home. And but yeah, I mean, it's definitely tough. But I would say, as far as like my fights have been easy because I put the preparation in beforehand.
Yeah. So when I guess your Army nickname carried over for your first fight, and now you're going under a different nickname, right? When your MMA career.
Yeah, the Prince of Pittsburgh. That's the fight nickname, man. The noise will always be a thing. Always, like it's just, that was a really good time in my life. But I've moved on to a different point in my life, and I've grown up in Pittsburgh. I live in Pittsburgh my entire life, and princes are always handsome, like myself. So we've got every time I fight for the entire city of Pittsburgh. Like my last fight, I won the belt. I told everybody it was for the whole city. I mean, like I've lived in this city. I will forever love this city. And so, um, it kind of just stuck, and we're going to ride through it. And hopefully one day I make it big and I'll get on the national TV and be fighting in front of everybody and be able to put Pittsburgh on a map.
Awesome. Guys who are watching this live, if you have any comments or questions to ask Cole or myself, please send them in. We'll put them up and we'll do our best to answer them. I think it was I don't know if you still do this, but I think it was one of the first fights I saw pictures of. You wore you went to the ring in a shirt with Brandon Jackson's name on it, former Army football player who passed away in a car accident his sophomore year. Why do you still do that? And why did you do that? And you was still tied to Army by doing that, representing so much the brotherhood, so to speak?
Absolutely. I've done it for every single one of my fights, and I'll do it for every fight that I ever do. He's part of the reason that I fight. I mean, I fight for myself. I fight for my family and, obviously, the city of Pittsburgh, and just, and because I love it. But, Brandon's definitely a part of the reason I fight. I would be lying to you if there was days where I wasn't in the gym, like completely exhausted, tired. And I told myself, in the back of my head, like, like, I just think of, what happened to him and, how tragic that was. And that was one of like the hardest moments of my life where, we obviously that news was broken to us. And, me and Brandon were very close. We were in the same company and just a really good kid. And, I got his number and the day that he died tattooed on me. So I'll always wear his, that little, t-shirt out for, to walk out for my fights. Brandon was a really good kid, and we just, that was obviously tough, just dealing with that as a team. And, he'll always be on my heart, and, I'll always fight for him. And I know he's looking down on every one of us.
Yeah, Cole, they say the Army football team is playing for something bigger than you're playing for something bigger than yourselves. You're playing not only for the brotherhood, but you're playing for the guys who are serving out there. But for you, I mean, you're like you said, you're fighting for not. This is not. It doesn't seem like it's a much of an individual. Sometimes you see MMA fighters, and maybe their personalities are. It's all about them, right? I mean, it seems like you even said it. You're fighting for more than just yourself, right? Is that what kind of gets you through those, like you said, it gets you through those practices and gets you, really to a point where, hey, I think I can take this to the next level too and maybe do something with this?
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, like I know that, I work really hard, and I know that, I'm talented, and I just want to see where it can take me. I want to give everything that I have into this. And at the end of the day, that I know that there's people out there that have it worse than me. And, there's people out there, like Brandon, that aren't even here right now. And so I want to give everything that I have to just, to those people, and just not just for myself, because I mean, fighting for myself is one thing, but fighting for my friends, my family, my city, everybody out there who's served our country, Brandon. It's just, it's basically what keeps me going through the sport. Cause at the end of the day, the sports, it's very, very challenging. And there's days where I don't want to be in the gym, and I don't want to train twice a day. And I've got to fight in 3 weeks, and I've got, 2-3 practices, and I've got to make sure that I'm eating healthy. And I don't eat the cookies that my mom made for dinner, that it's tough, but, I've got to keep those things that keep me going and drive me to be successful in the sport, because it's obviously very, very challenging.
Yeah, no doubt. Before we came on, you talked about what it's like, bit to have fights with no fans. Maybe a couple of your early fights obviously were with fans in attendance, right? Your last couple haven't been, or
just the last one.
Okay, what was that like for you? How much different was it for you to kind of just be it's you, the referee, your opponent, and maybe judges, right? I guess I don't know. There are not many people people at the scene. So
it was the weirdest thing I've ever experienced in my entire life. Like, it felt like I was just in practice, like in the gym, just sparring, and we were locked in a cage, and I could hear everything all my coaches were saying. I could hear his coaches, and it was different. It was definitely different. But, I usually, like, my first 3 fights I had, all my friends and my family and friends of friends. Everybody was there cheering me on, I mean, there were so many people cheering me on that they actually booed the other dude walking out. Like, it was pretty hilarious, but it was just different this time because I didn't have that energy to feed off of. And me, Sal, like, I'm
yeah.
like, I feed off of that. Like, I feed off of like the energy, and it's just like, I love being able to, put on a show for people essentially. And there was not that this time, but at the end of the day, I knew everybody was watching at home. They put on a little pay-per-view for everybody.
Nice.
And actually ended up helping me because in the second round, guy had me up against the cage, was pressing on me, and the round could have went either way because I beat him up a little bit, and then he took me down. I got back up against the cage, and my coach yelled, Mazada choke. And I learned Mazada choke that morning. And I was like,
Wow.
oh, it's right there. And I put it on, and I almost choked him out at the end of the second round. So that was it. I was able to steal that round just by putting that choke on. And then so I knew I had those first rounds in the bag. So the last round, I just basically all I needed to do was survive. But it was fun, man. It was just a different experience for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. I mean, I guess like when you're going through, like you said, going through the training is the toughest part. Picking it up pretty quickly is just you you either have it or you don't. Do you think, or is it something? How can you explain like just picking up that your coach yelling it and you just slapping it on the day that you used it, the day that you learned it, so to speak?
I mean, fighting is 90% mental. I mean, you can't go out there and just start swinging. Like, it's a mental game. When you watch guys on TV, UFC, Bellator guys, like they're in a chess game with their fists. It's not just, you can't go out there and just swing because you're automatically, at a 50-50 chance to win or lose because it's basically whoever gets a lucky shot. So you got to be thinking on your feet. And a lot of the shots that you see, punches, kicks, chokes, whatever, they're all setups. Like you're setting somebody up, you're playing, you're letting them make a mistake so that you play into their game. So the more and more I get better at fighting and the more and more I train, I start really, understanding the game of fighting. It's almost like football where you're, it's run, play action, like that's kind of how it is, where it's like, I'll throw a jab and I'll throw another jab. I'll see how they react and I'll throw another jab. And if they start dipping their head a certain way, maybe I'll fake a jab and then I'll throw a kick to where their head goes. If they're slipping this way, or kick that way. So it's all a chess game. But at the end of the day, yeah, like when it's all a mental game. I mean, anybody can do it. It's a very hard sport, but it's very difficult. And if you're not up to the challenge, playing football for Army, I will say, helped me so much with MMA because they're very similar in difficulty level, different, but like similar.
Yeah. Yeah, because you hear a lot of. Sometimes I go to these Army alumni golf outings and talk to grads from as late as the 50s at times, and they say, well, my toughest 4 years were at West Point, and it taught me so much. And they're in the business sector now, and they have their CEOs of major companies and some of these guys, and now you've kind of done. You kind of went to the business side a little bit with the real estate, right? Talk about how you got in, how you got into that. I mean, that's coming from possibly being a future Army soldier officer. Now you're selling real estate. How did that come about?
Yeah, it's pretty funny, man. It's quite the strange combination being an MMA fighter and then a real estate agent as well. It's like completely different sides of the spectrum, But yeah, so I had a buddy who, he got into real estate whenever he graduated high school. I went to high school with him. And as soon as I left, he basically kind of took me under his wing and was like, hey, man, like whenever you get done with school or whatever you want to do, like I'll get you into real estate. And so she showed me the ropes to it. And I love meeting new people and being able to develop those relationships. I'm not the type of guy that wants to like sit behind a desk all day. I like going out, meeting people. Like I said, like developing relationships. And that's just kind of the foundation that you need for, being in real estate. And then, over the last 2 years, I put the work and the education into it. And I've been doing pretty good in it. So
Nice.
it's because it's so much different than West Point, because West Point, everything's so regimented. Like you're up at 6 and your schedule's laid out for you. With MMA and real estate, both of those lines of work are all, up to you. Like I make my own schedule. Like if I I never have like a set schedule. Everything's always fluid. And, I have to be disciplined to, hey, I'm going to go to practice at 10 today because I have to, I have to show a house at 6 or 7 and I got to get this done throughout the day, so it keeps me on my toes a little bit, but it's a lot different, but I really enjoy it, man. I love it. It's probably what I want to do for the rest of my life.
Wow.
So, with those two lines of work, man, we'll see where life takes me, but I love doing both of them, and I enjoyed what I do. So,
Yeah, I guess back on the MMA track here, maybe we're looking ahead a little bit, but is there somebody that you either pattern your fighting style after, or is there somebody that is a dream fight for you that maybe down the road you can see yourself, if everything works out and you do turn pro, that can, is there a guy out there that you like to either pattern your fighting style after or want to fight?
As far as like my fighting style, one of my favorite fighters is Rob Whittaker. He's just like, he reminds me a lot of myself. And I studied abroad in Australia for a while, so I got to know him. I met him, and great guy, like super awesome guy. And like he reminds me just a lot of myself, like just really just works hard and is super. He's the most explosive fighter I think I've ever watched. Like he can just explode into his shots. And I kind of like formulated my fighting style off of that, because I'm pretty good at being able to like explode in and out. I'm not like super tall, super lanky. Like for my weight, I know I used to be big. I'm not big anymore. I'm a little skinny now, but he's very like quick and agile and explosive. And he's just a hardworking dude. And that's kind of like where I watch a lot of his film to try to like formulate and emulate his kind of fighting style. And a future fight, man, I don't really look too far into the future, man. Okay. I just wake up tomorrow and try to be a little bit better than I was yesterday. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully life presents opportunities for me in the future like that. And, I could start, calling people out. But right now, man, I'm just trying to get this much better than I was yesterday,
What? So your next fight is in 3 weeks, you said?
No.
Oh, do you know when your next fight is, or?
I don't know. I have no clue.
Okay, gotcha.
Probably it depends. I mean, it's tough to be able to determine with the whole coronavirus thing going on. It's very tough right now to put on local promotions, because you have these local promotions that put on amateur fights, and they don't make money on pay-per-views like UFC or Bellator would. They just make money off ticket sales. And if you can't have people in a crowd, it's really hard. Like this last promotion got this thing off by the skin of their teeth, and they lost a lot of money doing it. So it's going to be very hard for them to do it again. I don't think they will. So it'll be when things get back to normal. And like, I'm cool with that, because I want to fight in front of fans. Like that's all I want to do.
Yeah. Do you only fight out of Philadelphia, or can you look for fights outside of your area?
Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh. I'm sorry. Right. How I got that wrong. Come on, man. Let's stop the podcast right now, Cole. Yeah. That one, come on. Yeah. So is it just Pittsburgh area, or can you go to other places to fight?
I can go to other places to fight. It'll just be a little bit. It's a little bit tougher for me. There's a lot more bridges to cross whenever it comes to like fighting in different areas, and it's a little bit tougher. But I could theoretically do it. I like fighting local though. Like it's easy. Everybody's able to watch. But if I was really in a rush to get this thing kickstarted, I would go fight somewhere else. But right now, like I'm waiting on things to open back up and be able to fight in front of fans, because I want to do at least one more local amateur fight so I can fight in front of all my friends and family before I go pro and start fighting all over the country.
Nice. I think we're going to have a special drop-in guest here soon for you. One of your brothers is going to show up.
Jimmy Hammer.
Give it a second. This was meant to be a surprise, so we'll see if he.
I saw it on the podcast.
We'd say,
what's good?
What's good? How we doing?
What's up, brother? How you doing?
I'm living, bro. Doing some Christmas festivities with the family, so I was a little late.
Yeah, it's all good, bro.
Man, you missed a lot, James. Missed a lot. We talked about Cole's glorious 2 years at West Point. So we're getting we were talking about the band. I thought you guys were a band. I really thought when I was covering you guys, I thought you guys were a band. I thought you played the drums, Cole played the guitar and sung, but I guess I had that one. I guess I had that wrong. So
I mean, you weren't far off, to be honest. We're about as close to a band as non-musical guys can get.
James has tried to play guitar.
That's true.
And let's just say that it's a good thing we're not in a band.
Gotcha. James, talking to Cole a little bit about his move to MMA. I mean, what is it like to see one of your brothers go out there and put it all on the line in the cage, and just kind of follow him and how he's doing with a career that wasn't West Point or Army football?
It's fun to see, dude. I mean, obviously, put in the words of my dad. Last night, we were actually talking about Cole because we were talking about MMA. He was asking how your fight went recently. And he just stated, he's like, it doesn't matter what Cole's going to do. Like, he's going to succeed. He's going to be successful in whatever he does, because that's kind of the personality he has. And I think the things that he pulled from West Point were in line with that. So it's fun to see it in motion now more than anything. So I hype for him. I got to get to a fight, but Lord knows that it's not easy to do right now. So
yeah, right.
We'll figure it out. Whenever COVID's over, we'll get in there and watch some fights.
Nice.
Yeah,
we was just talking to Cole about you guys' days and how you guys kind of came up together, and just that group. You guys were pretty tight guys, and just to have that kind of camaraderie at West Point. Sometimes you need a group, right, Cole and James? Sometimes you need a group like that to get you through some of the tough days at West Point, right? You guys have fun is not really encouraged at West Point, it seems sometimes, right? I mean, but you guys seem to have, when you could not take it as seriously as maybe, so.
I mean, I think that was because we pretty much all went to prep together, so we got an extra year together. But Cole admitted too, like, our whole friend group is just refuses to do something and not have fun. It's basically just against our own laws, for lack of better terms. And so any moment we got to go out and enjoy ourselves or make the most of a situation, we'd get together and go do something and just enjoy it, because you have to, especially when you're there.
No doubt. I think one of my favorite parts of maybe your 4 years, James, there was did you have a missing water bottle or something like that you were looking for?
Shout out to Brett Van Buren. Our Army Barstool page saved me there. But yeah, I had a hydro flask I bought, which I was pretty fired up about, because those are pretty solid pieces of equipment. And I lost it one day, and he put out a distress signal for about, I don't know, it was a month or two. We were searching for it.
Wow.
And then somebody through the page found it, and went and picked it up, and it was back. Then I lost it again a couple months later.
Hey,
whatever.
70-14 over Houston, or finding the water bottle? What's the bigger moment at West Point?
I don't know. The water bottle is pretty monumental. There's a lot of moving parts in that one.
Gotcha.
A lot of people by my side through it.
How close have you guys been following the team? And this, especially over the weekend when your team goes 9-2 and they're still looking for a bowl game. How much were you guys following it? And I guess how happy are to see them get a bowl game? And James and Cole, I mean, West Virginia is no joke. That's a pretty good matchup. But yeah, that's I think a lot better than it would have been at the the Independence Bowl in Shreveport. So I mean, I think that West Virginia be a good matchup.
Yeah, I mean, I've been following them as close as I could this year. Been watching the games and everything, and obviously, like I was good buddies with John Radigan when I was at school with him, and so I loved seeing him kind of getting his time to shine, and he's balling out, and he's phenomenal right now. So I texted him a couple of times over the last couple of weeks, just wishing him good luck and chit chatting about what's going on. And but yeah, I'm fired up for him. That's electric that they actually got a game because a couple cards fell and they persevered. So hopefully they'll make the most of it. That should be a good bowl game.
Does it surprise you about Radigan and his season? I mean, he's a guy who I always thought practice work his tail off, and I think he deserves everything he gets. So
yeah, absolutely. I'm not surprised at all. He's one of those guys. He's just an athlete, really. He just knows how to play football. And I've kind of known that, and especially when he came to school, watching his high school tape, like he was obviously a phenomenal football player. So finally seeing him bear the fruits is great to see, and I'm fired up for him.
Gotcha.
It's weird. It's weird for me because I don't know anybody that's playing anymore.
Yeah,
I'm so used to like sitting on my couch, like just absolutely going fucking bananas when Jimmy Hammersticks gets a sack. And now I like don't know anybody, so it's like not as like is crazy as it usually is for me, but at the same time, like I'll forever be an Army football fan.
oh for sure.
And I love just watching him succeed, and Coach Monken's just he's one of like I think the like best football coaches in the country, if not the best, and he just has like a very rare ability to get people to just buy into the program and just say, let's go. And he's just such an awesome dude to be able to play for. So, we always cheer him on. And so we're super excited, and we're just happy that they got the chance to, in a bowl game. Cause I didn't really understand kind of the whole deal of why that wasn't a thing at first, but I'm just happy that they're able to do so now.
Mm-hmm. It looks like some teams were ducking. They want to play triple option. I guess some teams, right? I guess some teams are ducking, and I also think that this defense is pretty good this year too, James and Cole. I mean, I don't think that. Yeah, I mean that add to that, they just don't want to play Army. I mean, not just the offense. I think part of it's the defense.
Yeah, they're legit. Like, I mean, they're a legit defense. I don't care if you want to talk about like not having a power schedule or anything. I'm like, these guys, like the defense just makes plays. Like you saw it in Navy. They stopped them when they needed to, shut them out completely. And then Air Force, they needed that pick to get the ball back to score the game-winning drive or just to stop in general, but just snag the ball again. And they're legit. They ball out, and I love it. It's fun to see the boys flying around, just making plays.
James not the best defensive player I've ever watched play football in my entire life. He's better than every single Steelers linebacker right now, so they should give him a call.
That'd be tight.
Yeah.
I'm retired.
Yeah. I was gonna, I've been watching lately. You see it on Twitter a lot. Is the "I Want to Fight" Jeff Monken video?
Yeah,
and James, you were in the forefront of the one. I guess that was after the Temple win, right? Or was that after the Eastern Michigan?
I think it was Temple. It was when we played Temple at home in like 2018.
Yeah, they had Kelvin came off the bench. Kelvin came off the bench. And
it just started slinging it down the field. That was nasty.
What?
I think it was that game.
Yeah, I think that version of "I Want to Fight" was a little bit better than this year's version of "I Want to Fight." Yeah, that's just my personal opinion. But that
one, I didn't see this year's version, but all I know is that locker room was on fire when we were in there. Everybody was just through the roof because there's nothing more exciting than winning like a game last second like that. And Temple was a good team that year, so it was, it's fun. I love it. But yeah, they had Monken on Pardon My Take today.
Yeah.
And they played that clip, and they were talking about that with him.
I gotta watch that, dude. I saw they had him on there. I have been very reluctant to listen to Part of My Take, especially whenever the Steelers lose because they get on them. But then I saw they had Monken on, so I got to check that out.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that was electric. Barstool's been all over Army football for the last couple of days because of I mean, they recognized that they got shafted when it came to the bowl game, and so they were trying to help out. Portnoy tweeted he said he'd fund a bowl game or something like that just to get them to play. All they need is an opponent. So
could you have seen that? You think could you have seen like the Barstool Sports Bowl or something like that?
Dude, for sure. I bet they do it. I mean, they'll do anything. All they want to do is they want sports and want to have fun, and they make it happen. So I love it.
You know, you look at all the bowl games and the sponsors. Why not have like a Barstool Sports Bowl and have Army get the bowl tied? I'd rather see Army get a bowl tied at the Barstool Sports Bowl than, with all due respect, I'm sorry, I'm probably gonna ruin some relationships here, but the Independence Bowl. You know, I'd rather see them every year. Army plays in the Barstool Sports Bowl, not the Military Bowl, not the Independence Bowl, not the Armed Forces Bowl. You know, why not?
Especially if you got like Big Cat and what's his name to go do the announcing or something. That would just be a great time.
Dude, I am all for the Barstool Sports Army football collab. Like, it just makes 100%. All the sense in the world, and I'm all for it. Like there's no other football team in the entire country that epitomizes like football than Army football. And Barstool Sports is all about it. I mean, they had video on earlier in the year.
Yeah, after he took that headbutt.
I just wish I would have been there when Barstool was all over Army football, because I would have somehow ended up on their podcast.
Oh yeah,
I would have figured it out. I mean, I figured out a way to get an article written about me saying Trump was the reason Trump got elected. So I would have ended up on Barstool too. Exactly.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, you look at you. That was probably one of the highlights of the season? Not when VD took that headbutt and like didn't go down. I mean, I forgot about that, to be honest with you. Mike Johnson, you know,
we were watching that live, and I think I was with like my girlfriend, and I think I was with Andy Davidson's girlfriend when he was in Ranger still. And she was like, "Did you just see that?" And I was like, "No, what happened?" And we couldn't rewind it because we were at a bar watching it, but hop on Twitter immediately, and it was everywhere. So he got Football Guy of the Week, I think, for that, he should.
Yeah, that no doubt went viral, as did the news this week, and it's good. I mean, you guys, I'm guessing, will be somewhere around the TV on New Year's Eve watching them against West Virginia, or
for sure.
Absolutely. Is that New Year's Eve they play?
New Year's Eve, 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we'll be watching it. I'm going down to Texas to hang out with Schaefer and Max Regan. We're getting 3 of the 10 band members back together. So,
yeah, my podcast host Steve Anderson is going to be in attendance there. The former linebacker, he's going to be in attendance for the game, so that's pretty cool. They just announced tickets today. I think 70. Yeah, they have tickets. $75 to $95 are tickets, and they're only going to fill about 20% of the stadium, which is about 12,000 people. But they're playing West Virginia. West Virginia, I don't know. I think Army will have a good. I've seen James. What was it like playing down in Armed Forces Bowl? There were a lot of Army fans down there, no doubt, right?
Oh yeah, they swarm. That's the thing, dude. Army football fans travel because we have. Think about it, like old grads in every base across the United States. Like there's people everywhere that, especially you have a bowl game somewhere nobody lives, like they'll travel and go watch it. What else, is there to do? So Army fans travel well, which I greatly appreciated.
You gave them certainly a lot to yell and scream about that game, man. Holy cow. That's one of the best performances I've seen by an Army defensive player in my lifetime. So
you should have seen me in my living room, bro. I was a ball of energy. I was so hyped. I couldn't believe what I was watching. That was crazy.
It's funny. Yeah, it was.
But I could believe it though, because I was waiting for me and James started playing together at prep school, and I was the Will linebacker, and he was the Mike linebacker, and I would just let this dude make every tackle. I was like, James he's good enough for both of us. I'm just gonna hang out here. I made a couple plays here and there, but like to this day, like still like one of the best players I've ever had the pleasure of playing with. And so it was a lot of fun. And so whenever like he went out and did his thing his senior year, like I wasn't surprised at all. But that performance in the bowl game, I mean, like, what did you have? 4 sacks, 3 forced fumbles,
something like that.
Yeah, that was pretty impressive, bro.
Crazy. I was just thinking when it gets back to normal, Cole, you need James in your corner, man. You need James in your corner in one of these fights.
James surprisingly to everybody's surprise is like a pretty calm dude. I need somebody like rowdy. I need someone to get me, like, slap me in the face. James is too nice. He won't hit me. He won't like get me going. like as big and as like intimidating as he is, like he's a big softie. So he could come and sit in attendance.
Front row, he only gets front row seats. He can't get in the corner, huh?
He can sit in the corner, like behind my coaches that like can get me going. Like, but nothing against you, James, but you know that you got a soft side.
Yeah.
And I do too, but when I'm in the cage, I need some.
Oh yeah, you need
some height.
Flowing.
So is that Schaefer? Is that Schaefer in your corner, or who is that?
I think so. I don't know if you've seen my second fight. Schaefer was able to make it, and there was like a dull moment in the fight where like I was just on top of him, like looking for my entry to like choke him out or whatever. And Schaefer just like stood up in the middle of the fight. This is like, let's go, like screaming at the top of his lungs, like choke him out. Like he's my biggest fan. But so yeah, if I had to pick one, I would probably say Schaefer is the guy to be.
Schaefer is a great hype man.
Yeah. Schaefer and Chandler probably. But James is the first guy I go up to after the fight and drink a beer with.
There you go.
You should.
Yeah. Budweiser's for the boys.
Happy buds.
Nice. Well, I'm glad I was able to get you guys together tonight. Really appreciate both of your times, and great catching up, Cole and James. Great catching up with both of you guys, and maybe we can do it again down the road. Maybe when you get to fighting again, Cole.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I'm always free, dude. Anytime. I'll have to have you on my podcast next. What do you say?
Oh yeah, you got one going too.
Yeah, we didn't even plug it. Please plug it before we go, man.
Hey, go listen to the Oddcast, the ODDCAST, just like the podcast. Drop the P, the Oddcast. We talk about football. We talk about what's going on in the world. It's me and my brother, and you can find it on Spotify. It's a good time. If you want a little laugh, go check her out.
It's a good time.
Yeah,
awesome,
it is.
Man.
We have fun doing it, man. We're gonna do it tomorrow, Christmas Eve special.
Oh yeah.
Yep, there you go. I'll be tuning in for that, no doubt, man.
Love to see it.
Yep. Hey, appreciate you guys again. Thanks a lot. And this was a great Black Knight Nation podcast. We're on all the platforms like Cole's podcast is, and we're just about chomping at the bit for that Liberty Bowl game next weekend. Right. So thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate it.
Hey, thanks. I appreciate you having me on. Happy holidays.
Merry Christmas. Happy holidays to you guys.
Appreciate it, Sal. Take care.
See you, James.
Welcome to the Black Knight Nation podcast, your source for the latest information about your Army Black Knights, with your host, Sal Interdonato.